Kate, and welcome to a vacation reading vlog. It's Saturday, August 5th, and my mom and I are going to spend a couple days at our favorite towns in Massachusetts. So today we're heading up to Sturbridge Village, then we're going to do 2 days in Salem, and then we're going to do 2 days split between like Gloucester and Rockport. We're just going to kind of see what we feel like, but we'll be in that area. So of course, because we're going on vacation, I need to bring a vacation read. So I brought Wool by Hugh Howey. This is the Silo series. I've been hearing really good things about the show. The middle, I guess, dips a little bit, but that overall, great sci-fi, and I've just been in a huge sci-fi mood. This is a series, it's a trilogy that I have been meaning to read forever, and so I just thought this is the perfect opportunity because I did actually buy it, and I started to read it when the wildfires were happening, and I live just outside New York City, and so didn't feel like the right time. Now just feels like the right time because I'll be out in the fresh air. It's supposed to be gorgeous weather. And yeah, all I know about this is that they live in a silo, hence the name of the series and the show. And the air outside is supposed to be toxic, but the people inside have lived there for generations. But people are beginning to question if the outside is as toxic as they're led to believe, or if they're being held captive by a despotic government. I'm really excited to get into this. I'm very excited for vacation, and I'm excited to bring you with us. So today, like I said, we're gonna head up to Sturbridge Village. This is a place where like everybody in Connecticut, it's Sturbridge Village, Massachusetts, but everybody in Connecticut, Massachusetts, all of New England, it's like a quintessential 5th grade field trip here. And I've actually not been since 5th grade. So I'm excited. I feel like it's definitely gonna be bigger than I remember, or maybe it's gonna be smaller than I remember. I don't know. But we're gonna spend the day there. They're doing a Revolutionary War reenactment. So there's gonna be French and colonial troops doing whatever they do. And it should be really fun. And then tonight we're gonna go to Treehouse Brewing. There's gonna be food trucks. And I'm hoping when we get to Treehouse, I'm gonna have some time to sit and read. So let's get going. Hello, welcome to day 3 of our trip, day 2 in Salem. We have just been going, so I have not had time to update you. I am now 55 pages, I'm on chapter 9 of Wool, and I am very intrigued, and right away I was sucked in. I really like Hugh Howey's writing style. I know I'm not unique in making this connection, but this is very much giving Plato's Cave and taking me back to freshman year of college. When I was in college, I went to a Catholic university, so we had to take a lot of religious courses and a lot of philosophy courses. So this is taking me back, like I said, to freshman year. And the abbreviated version, hopefully I'm getting this right, is that Plato is like asking, not Socrates, the one with the G, Glaucon, whatever, he proposes this thing where there are 3 people shackled in a cave, and they face the cave wall, and behind them is a fire, and animals and people pass, between the fire and these people, and the people that are shackled only ever see the shadows on the wall, and that to them is reality. It is the shadows that the fire creates. And they talk about how the philosopher is somebody who sees the truth, and the sun is the truth, because the sun actually shows you what reality is versus the fire that's creating the shadows for these 3 people that are shackled. But to them, that's their reality. They don't know anything different. And I think they talk about like people that would be too uncomfortable knowing the real reality, and they're more comfortable knowing the shadows because that's all they know, and they wouldn't be able to handle what the real truth is. And I think he goes on to talk about how like I said, philosophers see the real truth. So in this book, we have these individuals living in a silo, and they refer back to an uprising. And there's this huge uprising, and that's why they are living in the society that they're living in. There is a lottery for people that want to have children because they have to keep the population under control, and outside the air is toxic. Okay, I had to sit down. So, anyways, we're introduced to characters. I'm definitely not going to give too many spoilers, but we're introduced to characters at the beginning of the story who are like, okay, our society, we are based on the fact that there's this one big uprising, but we're discovering all this paperwork and finding lapses in the record keeping within the computers, and this person is putting together that there's actually been multiple uprisings. So I'll leave it at that. And also, we have these individuals where there are cleaners. And I guess if you either commit a crime, or there's a lottery for this as well, or just occasionally a person just says, I want to go outside. And when you say you want to go outside, you have to put on this whole suit, and that's like your death sentence. So basically, when people are ready to go, they're just like, I want to go outside. And a character that we're following that says that they're ready to go outside is wondering, why does everybody follow through with the cleaning? Why does nobody just continuously run? Like, why do we always go to the sensors and clean them? And these sensors are cameras that look outside, but there's no actual windows. So what the people inside are seeing are the shadows. They're seeing what the computer is showing them, but is that what is really outside is the question. So we follow a character when they decide to go out, and they decide to follow through with the cleaning, and what happens from there. So I am very intrigued, and I'm ready to keep going, because that was the whole first part of the book, is in being introduced to like the first cleaner. And I'm losing you. So that was the first part of the book. The introduction to this person who decides he's ready to go outside and clean, and his follow through with that. And then now we're meeting new characters because his position has to be filled, and moving forward from there. We've had a pretty busy schedule, so I'm actually planning on doing a lot of reading tonight, and hopefully finishing up editing episode 1 of Breaking Bad. Today we're going to go to the last thing we're going to do is the Peabody Essex Museum, the PEM, because it's free today, which is super cool. And I've never actually been in there, and I come to Salem a lot, so I'm looking forward to it. So we're just finishing up our last morning here in Salem. We're about to head to Gloucester. It is a rainy day, so I think we're gonna get some reading done, which I'm excited about because I am into this now. I'm 150 pages in, and keeping this non-spoilery, I love the development of the characters. Some characters die, but we continue to learn about them and their importance to the story through new characters that we're introduced to. And that's not happening over and over again. Like, you don't have to worry about like people continuously dying and new characters coming in. That's not it. But the people that have died, like, we get to know more about them, their involvement in the silo. And I also love that we're learning the different parts of the silo and the politics. So there's like hydroponic farms, like plants to keep the oxygen at a breathable level. There are farmers. There's levels where there's farmers raising like rabbits and cattle. We have like family departments. Then we have the IT department, who I think is supposed to be like the villain of the story. And we have the sheriff, the deputy, and then the mayor. The mayor is supposed to be kind of like the president of the silo in a way. But how they all interact is very interesting. We also have the mechanical department, which we just got to know, and they're the ones that kind of keep everything running. And you would think that mechanical and IT work hand in hand, as a lot of the things that they're doing, like one can't work without the other. IT can't work without mechanics running. But it turns out there's a big divide between them and they hate each other. So I'm interested to see how this develops. And that's all I've got for you for now. Like, I really love, it's like a subtle claustrophobia that you feel, because we have a lot of characters that, well, all the characters have been born into this silo. They don't know anything else. There's some people that really want to know more about the outside, but that is a death sentence if you ever vocally say, like, I want to go outside, I want to know what's going on out there. That's your death sentence, and you're sent out to do cleaning. But we have other characters who, like, even in their internal thoughts are just like, no, I've just never had an interest in outside because it's not safe to, and my job is important, and what I'm doing in here is important to the lives of everybody else, and I don't have time to think about outside. That's just not feasible. But slowly, they're starting to get a little claustrophobic as the question of outside starts to wear away at them, and it starts to do the same to you. Because again, like, reading this, I don't feel like suffocated, but then all of a sudden a character who'd never felt suffocated before starts to show the signs, and you're like, oh yeah, how would I feel trapped inside? It's uncomfortable, but in a good and interesting way. I'm sorry I keep using the word interesting, but that's what I got for you at 150 pages in of a 600-page book. We're just finishing up here. Like I said, I think we're gonna grab some breakfast, and then we are heading out to Gloucester. So I'll catch up with you then. Good morning. I just came out to watch sunrise. It was at 5:48, but it's been peeking out. We came out here at like 5:30-ish to watch it. So like Gloucester is my new favorite place. I still love Salem. I think that's still number one, but I don't know. Gloucester's kind of giving it a run for its money. Today we're gonna go whale watching, which I'm really excited about. We're going at 8:30. So we're gonna go get ready and get some coffee or some breakfast and head out to the tour place. So I'm excited to bring you along for that, but I also wanted to give you a reading update. So I have been listening to the audiobook and following along with the physical book because, the past couple of years, my attention span has not been great. So like listening to the audiobook and following the physical book helps me read for longer. The desire to read is always there. Like I always want to be reading, but it's just sometimes my brain does not have the capability of sticking through it on its own. But I think I have about 2.5 hours left on the audiobook at the rate I read it at, or listen at and read. I'm enjoying it so much. I have to say, I find the pacing, I feel like there's been action right from the get-go. A lot of different action. There's a lot of different things unfolding. The characters, it's not too deep. Like the character work isn't too deep, but I still like them. And this is one of those stories where it's not really, it's about the overall storytelling. It's not so much about the individual characters, although I really do like the main character, Juliet. It just feels like things have been unfolding rapidly since the beginning of the story, and I've seen reviews of people saying that it's so boring and they can't get through it, and to me that's like mind-blowing because I've been invested since the very beginning and I've been enjoying myself and have not felt it slow down at all. The pacing's been really good for me personally. And obviously I'm trying to keep like my review of this like non-spoilery for anybody that either wants to read or watch the show. Obviously I'm reading the book before I watch the show, so I'm really intrigued to see how they adapted it. I did remember hearing that like the first few episodes, like the first 3 are incredible, and then maybe like 5 and 6 I heard were a little slow, but then it picked back up again at the end. So I really want to see how they adapted it. I'm interested to see, because I don't know who plays who. Like I obviously know Rebecca Ferguson plays Juliet, I'm assuming, and I think, I always call Tim Robbins. I think Tim Robbins is going to play Bernard, the IT guy. I think that's who I would cast based on how I've been reading. And I really want to see too, I love when adaptations, I think the best adaptations change the material slightly. I think like when it came to The Last of Us, obviously people knew the storyline from the game, but the showrunners were able to add some differences and add more to the story so that there was something new for the people that already had played the game and knew the storyline. So I'm interested to see how this translates to the show and what changes they make. For me personally, like reading a book before a show or a movie doesn't ruin it for me, because part of the enjoyment I get is seeing how people adapt the story and change it. So yeah, good morning. Thank you for joining me. Like, look at the sky. So yeah, that's my morning update. That's my reading update, my vacation update. Look at the sky. I'm gonna go get ready for the whale watch. I'm really excited. I've never been on one before. And I think after that, we don't have any set plans. We'll probably go back into town and see some of the shops we didn't get to see yesterday since it was raining so hard. There is another bookstore that I want to hit up. There's 2 bookstores on that main street we were on yesterday with all the shops in downtown Gloucester. The one we didn't get to is like a new book. It's just a new It is newer, but they have new books. The bookstore I went to yesterday, Dogtown Books, was excellent. It was all used books, and I always try to hit up a used bookstore when I go on day trips or any type of trip, because I think it's so cool to get like a used book or a book that was owned by somebody that lives in that area. I think it makes it really special. So I'm in Gloucester, and this is where the men that The Perfect Storm was inspired by are from. And there's plenty of used copies of The Perfect Storm, so of course I had to get one. It's not a book I probably would have picked up on my own, like outside of being here in Gloucester, but knowing that it was possibly read by somebody that lives in this town, that could have known them. Like, I love the possibilities behind a used book. And I was able to find some, obviously I showed you, I was able to find a set of the trilogy from the 1970s, I think, which is really exciting. I'm really excited to add them to my collection. So that's it for our morning update. Thank you for joining me. It's been a beautiful morning so far. And next up is Wales. last morning here in Gloucester. I'm sad, but I'm ready to see my cats. So yesterday I finished Wool, and that was like a solid 4.25 book for me. Yesterday I talked about the pacing and how it's like go right from the beginning. Like, we're put in this silo. People are questioning why they're there, what they're doing there, how they got there right away. We learn about the uprisings. We learn about the different floors and who does what jobs and which ones are more nefarious than others. And then after I did my update yesterday and after we read After the Whale Watch, I picked the book back up to finish it, and I did experience the slowness, like the lull that people were talking about, like in the reviews. Not bad at all. Like I said, I've been listening to it on audiobook while I'm following along with the book, and that just kind of helped me keep going and push through the slower parts. And also I feel like the slower parts were needed because it gave us a little bit of world building. It just gave us world building without being spoilery. And then by the end, I will say too, I think that they wanted us to care about the characters more than character development allowed. And I'm somebody, again, where I don't need to be super connected to the characters if the story and the world is intriguing enough, which it was. So, like, because of that, because it did slow down a bit, and because the character development, like I said, they want us to care more about certain characters by the end. It wasn't a perfect 5, but that's all right, because this is an instance where I cannot wait to watch the show now. I am so excited to watch the show because I feel like it's one of those instances where the show can improve so much upon the book. Because Hugh Howey, the author, I don't think he's like an author by trade. I'm pretty sure I read about him. Like, this is what got me interested in Wool to begin with, because I am a sea gal. I live on the eastern seaboard. I live in a seaside town, even though it doesn't feel that way sometimes. Hello, birdie. Hello. Hi. He's a sailor. I feel like, I think I read that, like, he sailed around the world. He's really big into boats, so that, like, intrigued me right away about him, and that he's not, like, an author by profession. Also, Wool was a short story that he expanded upon into this book, which I can definitely see. The other thing is, I thought this was a trilogy because there is Wool, Shift, and then Dust. And then I think there's like some short stories, like epilogue type short stories that come after. But at the end of the book, it felt like it could have been a standalone the way they wrapped it up. And I think the next book is supposed to be going back and forth, from what I read, like a prequel. Like, it gives more information on the current story and the current timeline, but it also goes back to explain how people ended up in the silo. And I love a good government conspiracy in a book. I love political and government conspiracies. And that's another thing. I feel like I didn't get enough of the politics in this book for as nefarious. Like, I loved, if you like this, you will love the Tower of Babel series by Josiah Bancroft. The first book is Senlin Ascends, and that is all taking place in a tower, and each ring, like, is a different world with different politics and different things going on. And I loved, over the course of those 4 books, climbing up, learning all about them, all about the politics in each one and what goes on there. And I wanted a little bit more of that in here, because different floors did different things, like I said, and some are more nefarious than others, but we didn't get, like, for me personally, enough background into, like, the history of those. So hopefully the next 2 books will do that. So that is it from us, from Gloucester. We're gonna get breakfast at our hotel and then head back to Connecticut. And that's that. I really want to see it. I think the actors that they got are going to expand upon the characters and really give me that character development that, not necessarily that I wanted, but that's needed. Because, again, like I said, I'm good with an intriguing story. I don't need to, like, be fully invested in the characters if the world and everything is interesting enough. But I think that the show could really fill in the gaps and bump up my enjoyment, even though I very much did enjoy this book. So thank you for coming along with me. We got some more birdies here. Gonna go get breakfast now, and maybe I'll see you in another reading vlog. Breakfast with a view.